This video provides a general introduction to the CADRE platform. The introduction is aimed at data service providers or data custodians that are interested in using CADRE to share sensitive research data. The content will also be of interest to the broader community of those involved in sharing or accessing sensitive data. My name is Dr. Ryan Perry. I'm the Director of the Australian Data Archive and Project Lead on CADRE. CADRE stands for Coordinated Access for Data, Research and Environments. It is a web-based platform designed to help facilitate the sharing of sensitive research data. My goal is to demonstrate how CADRE can make managing data access easier and more consistent for both data providers and data users. Whether you manage a data archive or oversee access to a specific dataset or collection, CADRE offers tools and infrastructure to help you do that. CADRE is a collaborative project supported by $1.9 million in NCRIS funding from the Australian Research Data Commons, along with co-investments from the project partners, including universities, government agencies, and e-research providers. CADRE is built to meet the diverse needs of the research community. Gaps in existing systems for managing sensitive data have become increasingly evident, particularly with the passage of the DAT Act, or Data Availability and Transparency Act, in 2022. Organizations face challenges in securely sharing sensitive data while complying with new legislative requirements and maintaining consistency across their data access workflows. CADRE responds to these gaps by offering a shared, flexible platform for managing sensitive data access. CADRE includes a dashboard that allows users to combine and evaluate multiple sources of information, supporting informed decision-making and better governance. This talk covers how CADRE operationalizes the 5 Safes framework and discusses a number of key features of the CADRE platform, as well as talking about future plans for CADRE and how you can get involved as a data provider. What are the 5 Safes? The 5 Safes framework is a well-established approach for evaluating risk when managing access to sensitive data. For example, safe projects focus on the purpose and the context of data use, while safe people ensure users are properly trained and authorized. The table here shows the original conception of each of the 5 Safes from the 2016 working paper, along with the corresponding data sharing principle from the data scheme, which was established as part of the 2022 DAT Act. CADRE was developed around this framework to ensure that sensitive research data is shared under sufficiently safe conditions. To do this, CADRE takes the conceptual 5 Safes frameworks and provides a practical solution. By integrating decision support tools, such as a dashboard that brings together multiple sources of information, CADRE helps ensure that decisions about data access are consistent and well-informed. What are some of the challenges or pain points that we face when managing access to sensitive data? Looking at the table, it may be often the case that data users are expected to complete one-off or ad hoc applications, and they would do this using standalone and even manual processes. Whereas via CADRE, these same users can access, link, and reuse information from their research projects, from their profile, and from their collaborators' profiles in a coordinated and integrated way. Likewise, as things stand, data custodians may be expected to make standalone decisions in isolation from other data projects or people, whereas on CADRE, all this information about projects, people, and the settings under which the data is going to be used are visible in the dashboard and auditable by the custodians in evaluating these applications for access to the data. In conducting research projects, both data users and custodians are often required to manage multiple applications for multiple data sets and with multiple custodians over the research project's lifecycle. Whereas in CADRE, these projects can integrate the people involved, other projects, and the data that's required over that lifecycle into a coordinated application. Secure access facilities set up individual one-off identities that might be independent of institutional or national identity services, whereas through CADRE these identities are managed through a federated system leveraging international identity providers, including CI Logon. Finally, outputs from sensitive data projects typically might be disconnected from how these were approved or produced, whereas CADRE has the potential to ensure that these outputs are tied to the project, people and settings that generate them, and can coordinate access to those safe outputs as well. The CADRE platform is built to be flexible and scalable. CADRE supports federated identity management, looking at the left-hand side of the technical architecture diagram here, via CI Logon, allowing users to authenticate themselves with their organization's credentials. Through CI Logon's co-manage tool, users are represented within groups, and these groups are linked to requests, they're linked to established research projects, and they link collaborators with one another. Looking at the other side of the diagram, CADRE includes a custom user interface, and this is built on REMS, Resource Entitlement Management System, which is an open source tool that was originally designed to manage researchers' access to bioinformatics databases. This system includes extensive APIs, and CADRE has already established connections to a number of external services, including ORCID. This architecture, looking at the bottom left there, also represents the provisioner setup for Australian Data Archive's own Dataverse system, where approved groups of users that are identified in co-manage have permissions created in Dataverse that correspond to the data they requested. This is a good illustration of a comprehensive data service integration with CADRE. In this next section, I will highlight some of the key features that CADRE offers. So, for data users, CADRE offers a authentication system, the ability to coordinate requests for access to data. CADRE is integrated with training materials to ensure that those accessing data have the appropriate skills and knowledge of sharing data safely. CADRE also generates data sharing agreements with all of the details of the conditions under which the data can be used. I'll also highlight two key features particularly for data providers. These include the integration process by which data providers can share their own data assets through CADRE, as well as the custom workflows that data providers can set up to direct and review requests for data. Authentication. CADRE ensures secure and seamless access to sensitive data by integrating the CI logon authentication and identity management. CI logon enables users to authenticate using their existing institutional credentials and currently supports over 5,000 identity providers, including universities, other research institutions, and services like Google and Orchid. CI Logon's co-manage tool facilitates the management of collaborative organizations within CADRE. It allows for the creation of entities within CADRE and enables tailored enrollment workflows, role assignment, and group management for data providers. By combining CI Logon's federated identity management along with co-managers' organizational tools, CADRE provides a comprehensive and secure authentication system, ensuring that only authorized users have access to sensitive data. This is the CI Logon integrated sign-in screen for CADRE. Users can easily select their institution from a drop-down list and authenticate through their own institution's secure sign-in system. Once authenticated, the user's institutional credentials, such as their email and their institution name, are automatically linked to their CADRE profile. For users from organizations that are not part of a federated identity system, we have added a guest account option to ensure that they can still access CADRE. Coordinated requests. One of CADRE's most powerful features is the ability for users to submit coordinated requests for access to data. This functionality is designed with research teams in mind, enabling them to collaborate more effectively when accessing data. So here's how it works. A single request can include multiple datasets, multiple collaborators, and projects. This streamlines the process for research teams who often need access to a variety of data sources simultaneously. Coordinated requests also support collaboration. Teams can add collaborators directly to their request, specifying their roles and ensuring everyone has the necessary access permissions. Looking closer at CADRE's ability to capture information specifically about research projects, this is in response to what some researchers have wondered: is there a hierarchy among the 5 safes, with some suggesting that safe project assessment may take priority over the other 4 safes. The goal of safe projects is to ensure that data is used appropriately and in line with legal, ethical, and contextual considerations. CADRE collects details specific to projects to aid decisions about sharing data. Some of the indicators that can be considered when evaluating safe projects in CADRE include the intended use, so what is the purpose of the research, how does this align with the original intention for collecting the data, and how does this reflect the public good use of the data. As well, also the context, so what are the legal and ethical requirements for this type of data use. What are the potential risks that might exist and how can these be mitigated? As well, who are the collaborators who will be accessing the data, and are they appropriately trained and authorized? In CADRE, when a user creates a new project, collaborators can be added to this project rather than to a standalone request for data access. By focusing on this context of data use, CADRE allows data providers and custodians to make informed decisions about granting access. Safe project assessment often takes precedence over other aspects of the 5 safes because this ensures the overall integrity and ethical use of the data. Training materials and the CADRE learning site. Managing sensitive data responsibly requires both technical skills and a strong understanding of ethical and legal standards. However, skill gaps in this area are common across the research community. To address this, CADRE integrates structured training resources into the platform, including 2 online courses that have been developed specifically for CADRE, including a course about the 5 safes framework and techniques for sensitive data management, as well as an introduction to typical roles in data management, including those that have been outlined as part of the data scheme, such as custodians, accredited users, and accredited service providers. This training course also covers some responsibilities towards research participants. Training courses can be added to the CADRE learning site or linked from external sources. Completion of these courses can be set as a requirement for access to data, and the completion status will appear in a user's profile for evaluation. Data sharing agreements. So another important feature of CADRE is its ability to generate data sharing agreements automatically. These agreements include all the relevant details, such as the applicant's information, the data assets that they have requested access to, and the terms of use. These data sharing agreements are available as PDFs and can be downloaded at any stage of the request process. Consistent with the 2022 DAT Act, CADRE maintains a register of all parties to each data sharing agreement and the terms of those agreements. CADRE integrates with existing systems, allowing data providers to continue using their own infrastructure while benefiting from CADRE's centralized access management tools. Providers are integrated into CADRE as collaborative organizational units, or COUs. Each of these COUs operates independently, allowing organizations to add resources that belong to their own collections and define custom workflows to manage data access in a way that suits their specific requirements. CADRE provides flexibility to streamline data access processes while integrating with your existing tools and storage systems. CADRE allows data providers or data custodians to define their own access workflows inside of CADRE. Organizational owners set access conditions and approval processes by assigning the following components to a workflow. Resources are the specific data assets or data sets, and workflows are tied to these and define the conditions under which they can be accessed. You can assign approvers at different levels, such as data custodians or project administrators. CADRE allows for flexibility here, enabling you to designate a single approver or a team of approvers for more complex cases. Custom forms can be embedded in the workflow, requiring applicants to provide detailed information in specific form fields. Workflows can also include licenses or terms of use which applicants must acknowledge before their request is processed. Workflows can be configured to automate parts of the process, such as notifying approvers when a new request is submitted or alerting users when their request is approved or rejected. Every action within a workflow is logged, creating a clear record of the request process. CADRE adopts the Authentication and Authorization for Research Collaborations, or AARC framework, and is the first Australian entity to do so. For CADRE, these policies have been adapted from the Australian Access Federation National Research Infrastructure Policy Development Toolkit. And this framework is widely used internationally, including by the European Open Science Cloud, the Large Hadron Collider, and the National Institutes of Health. This framework is designed to build trust among users, providers, and administrators, and ensures consistent and secure practices are maintained across the CADRE community. Looking ahead, we're working on enhancements to further improve CADRE's flexibility and usability for data providers and data users. We're working on enabling organization-specific user groups within CADRE. This will allow organizations to define their own roles and permissions, providing more control over how data access is managed amongst their user base. In addition, we're considering a range of enhancements to further improve the user experience. Hidden resources. Certain datasets can remain invisible to general users and only appear to pre-approved individuals, ensuring greater control over sensitive information. Expanded search, enhanced filters, and autocomplete features will make it easier for users to find and request the data that they need. Populating requests. This will include that when users submit new requests, CADRE will highlight any relevant existing approvals to assist with safe people evaluation. Finally, canned responses, so approvers will be able to select from their own bank of pre-written templates, helping to ensure clear and consistent communication with applicants. In closing, I invite you to get in touch to discuss how CADRE can meet your data sharing management needs. You're welcome to explore the platform, schedule a demo, or share your insights on how we can better meet your needs. To learn more, please contact us at this email. CADRE will be launched on the 20th of January in 2025 and will be available from that point for data providers to use. So this is a great time to get in touch with any questions or to start your onboarding process. Thanks very much.